Hi, this is Tatiana. This is the January edition of Stronger, my LinkedIn newsletter. Happy New Year. Extroverts, beware. Communication tips for not driving others crazy. Do you want to think about this for a while and we can discuss it next week? Hands down, this is the most valuable question I can pose when needing thoughtful and sincere feedback from colleagues. Would I prefer to get their help now rather than later? You bet. Have I jeopardized good professional relationships because I demanded immediate feedback? Absolutely. Depending on the source you reference, extroverts make up 50% or more of the population. But whether or not this describes you, keep reading. This issue of Stronger should convince you to honor your preferred communication style, but also be willing to flex it when working with other people whose preference differs from yours. The importance of this came to my mind after I read an intriguing research article in the respected Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. As we near the 2-year mark of virtual meetings and remote interactions triggered by the COVID pandemic, it's important to keep in mind that while extroverts find being with people rewarding, not everyone does. The authors of the article revealed that extroverts may be drawn to social situations not because they're more sociable, but because they're more sensitive to the rewards involved in such settings. So, these rewards include warmth, affection, and close emotional bonds. So, if your own shoes off self, this is what Myers-Briggs personality indicator lingo describes as our preferences, if one of it is of a socially rewarded communicator, here are tips on how to harness your communication superpower and work effectively with others. Number one, honor the silence. I found myself interrupting others because I thought they were done speaking when they were merely pausing, or when the delay seemed to be a technical glitch that's in virtual meetings. So, as extroverts, we have lots of ideas flowing in our minds when topics we care about come up. I've learned to honor the silence. Let topics hang in the air as colleagues contemplate and process. With online meetings, I allow extra time for pauses and responses. Even an email question asking someone to consider an idea and suggesting a later discussion time is honoring the silence. A 24-hour response time does not work for everyone. Be patient and honor the silence. You may get much better outcomes as a result. Here's the second one. Keep a tab. A go-to tool I use for all meetings, virtual or in person, is a running tab of ideas, notes, reflections. Tabs help me listen better and stay on track. Another process I find helpful is a running tab agenda. So my business partners and I have a process of agenda item sharing before our weekly meetings. We spend a few minutes deciding priority items on each meeting as each meeting kicks off, and we create tabs for the next week. One of the quick ways that extroverts tend to annoy others in meetings is by jumping around or bouncing around topics or jumping ahead. An ideas tab and agenda items helps me stay on task and on time when there's a lot to cover. Also, consider this. Consider keeping a networking contact tab. See, I don't know about you, but as an extrovert, I miss in-person meetings where there's time to chat about kids and weekends and latest favored meals. This rarely happens in the virtual setting unless it's planned. Extroverted or not, people who show up early usually leave their camera and mic off, and others show up just at the start of each meeting. To make up for this lost opportunity, try keeping tabs for one-on-one time with your important contacts. These one-on-one meetings seem to work both for extroverts and introverts who may prefer smaller and less distracting social settings. Appreciate being versus doing. This is the third tip. The idea that extroverts are inward-facing leans them towards a state of being, while the energy spent of extroverts is outward and often described as doing. An Australian study on relaxation and ideation is a great example. Researchers studied over 160 subjects to find out the effectiveness of a short-term creativity training program. They listed two types of training programs. One was ideation skills training, such as mind maps and creative problem solving, and the other was simple relaxation training. The results suggested that relaxation training, or being, is particularly beneficial for the creativity of introverts, while ideation skills training, or doing, is more effective for extroverts. As an extrovert, I have found myself wanting to jump into problem-solving mode, and in some cases, taking on all the action items at the end of a meeting. So over the years, I've now learned that letting something sit for a while, gathering information, and taking time to process offers huge value that may lead to better outcomes. Catch yourself in the next meeting discussion. Can you let some things be? Can you truly prioritize what you need to put energy towards? I challenge you to create a non-action to don't list. Now, one of my favorite classes in the LinkedIn Learning Library has been one that I authored with my colleague, Brenda Bailey Hughes. It's called Finding Your Introvert-Extrovert Balance in the Workplace. You should look it up. We tear this dimension of E and I, or of extroversion, introversion, apart. And years of collaborating and figuring out ways for us to better work together has led us to designing this course, which has generated rave reviews from both sides of the communication spectrum. If you're still wondering where you stand on some of the introversion, extroversion behaviors, watch this short video on inward and outward focus where we discuss the differences, and then you decide. So if you click on the picture of us, you can get to see the link or the short video. As an extreme extrovert, I know there are times I drive my colleagues crazy. I try to be self-aware, practice some of the tips I've shared with you, and honor the fact that we all come to the conversation with different perspectives and styles. Regardless of our own preferences, when we flex our styles, we have a better chance of creating stronger synergy and building trust. I'd love to hear how this played out for you in your working relationships. When have you had to flex your extroverted communication style? Now, here's something really exciting that I'm trying out that's new. Live office hours. This is a little different than a LinkedIn Live. So if you like the content that I just shared and want to know more, here are the next two steps. Number one, on Monday the 24th, I will post a free access to the entire course. I just shared a short clip from the course here, but I'll make the whole course available. And second, on the 27th, Thursday of January at 3 p.m. Eastern, we will go on live and discuss some of your questions and comments. So I am sharing a link to sign up. So follow me on LinkedIn, share this with a friend that needs to hear it, and thank you so very much for listening.